Hello, we're Mike and Harry Muffin. We were involved in planting Bodmin Road Church back in 1968, and we stayed and worked there and loved serving God there for 40 years before we felt it was time to move on, and great to see how God's blessing the work even today.
Well, our story starts in a sense as a little baby, and as far as I know, I'm told I was carried as a baby to Lee Smith Street Mission. And the story of Lee Smith Street Mission is that it was started by a Christian businessman, W.W. North, and round about 1900, people in his employ were just ordinary working people, and some of them couldn't read and write, and so he founded a adult school and gospel mission. But then, in the middle of the war, when the docks were being bombed, the incendiary bomb hit it, and the whole place was up in flames. And so people got together, bought a chicken hut, and there they continued for quite a number of years. I was 21, and I'd always had a vision for planting a church somewhere, and folk asked me if I would take on leadership at the gospel mission. So little did they know that my plan was to close them down, but that's okay. And that was in 1966, and at 21, of course, you know everything. In actual fact, you know nothing, and no idea of how to plant a church, but never mind, if God's in it. First thing was to try and put a team together. We invited Roger Beresford to come and be the pastor, and at the same time we're trying to find out if there was any money that was available from anywhere, and we found that it was possible to get some money for the damaged church. And it wasn't enough, long story, but it wasn't enough, but we managed to put other money to it. And the big thing was that the War Damage Commission was closing down in 2 years' time, 1968, and we had 2 years from scratch to build a building and get it going. And that was an amazing challenge.
And we actually went on holiday with Mike carrying a bill of quantities that needed to be delivered while we were away. So that was part of our honeymoon, but it took preference, it had to be done.
Yeah, exactly where. In my heart, it was always Branson, because that was in the papers, that was where this utopia was going to be built. But it was interesting because we didn't have a site or anything, so to get one, it was all owned by the council. So I went to see the council, and I didn't say anything to them about where we wanted to be. I just said, you know, the area we're in, it's industrial, you'll probably want to compulsory purchase it anyway. Is there anywhere that you can let us have a site at a preferential rate? And, oh, no, there's nothing we can do. But, well, it would have to be Bransholm. I nearly jumped up off my chair and started to praise the Lord, because that's exactly where we wanted to be. And the buying of the site, the getting the builder, doing the work, getting it all done, it was all completed by November 68, and we beat the deadline and managed to get things together. In fact, Roger and myself and one other guy, we had to actually put the path in the Saturday before we opened in the pouring rain in order to be able to get from a road across the mud to the church. So that's sort of the start of it, and God bless right from the start. There was only 12 at the first service, but gradually people were converted. I don't remember a year when there wasn't anybody saved.
We had been advised to affiliate with the Fellowship of Independent Evangelical Churches. So we approached them, and they came back eventually telling us that the War Damage Commission had accepted the fact that we were affiliated, and instead of £3,000, they were now granting us £10,500, which did enable us to build the original Bodmin Road Church. The council had offered the site to the Methodist Church, who refused it, saying that they wanted to be where the shops and the people would be moving about. So they eventually went to North Point, and it left the site available so that the council said to us, well look, there's the site, are you interested? And we asked the question, where are the people going to be? And they assured us that they would be roundabout. Therefore we ended up in Bodmin Road.
Shortly after we opened, we started up a children's work. There had been a good Sunday school at Lee Smith Street, but we started up and soon had a good number of children. Just a little later on, we started a young wives meeting. We wanted to contact the young wives on the estate and thought the best way would be to have a young wives club. Also, happy days were had when parents and children went on coach outings to the beach. I think this was a throwback from Lee Smith Street. At one point we had 2 coaches going to Hornsey. We built sandcastles and had organised games on the beach, and they were very happy days.
I remember when we first went, he sat up the service and he said after it, I don't like that. It's not a church, Doreen. It's like a cafe. I said, I know, but the people are nice and you get a good service. And they said, that usually the vicar, we didn't call them vicars though, did we? We called them pastors. Gave a good message. I did breakfast club.
Right.
And then I carried on then because we had a lunch club. So people used to come and had the lunch, dinner, whatever. And I used to sing, well, we didn't have much of a choir really, it was only about 5 of us. I used to sing with Irene Morphin, 2 of us, on a Sunday morning and a Sunday evening. Because she had a really good voice, did Irene. It was good. They were good days. I just wish I could go back to those days.
I'm Tim Morphin, born on the 15th of April 1970, and I'm told that I was in Bodmin Road Church by the age of 2 weeks old. So I grew up there in life and in faith. I was one of those rowdy kids, probably caused all my Sunday school teachers lots of headaches. But I know that Bodmin Road was where I saw more of who Jesus is, and at the age of 12 went forward one Sunday night to accept him into my life and commit to follow him. And you know, as a foundation for faith and life, Bodmin Road has proved to be just a great place for me to learn about the importance of sharing Jesus and sharing him in a practical way. I've gone on to lead a national ministry called Transforming Lives for Good, TLG, and we work now with 185 churches across the UK, helping children who are struggling, supporting their parents, but also bringing those kids and families into the love and the care of local churches. All of that has grown out of faith that began and grew here at Bodmin Road Church, and for that I am so grateful.
Hi, my name's Sue Clark, and my connection with Bodmin Road goes back to Lee Smith Street, where both my granddads were heavily involved. One was Thomas Cayley, he was the pastor there, and the other was George Holmes, who led the worship. And as a very young child, I went to the mission there. Later on, they had a special mission with the Advocates, a group led by Stuart Bell and Irene Bell and some of the other people from over in Lincoln. And they, at the end of it, they asked people to go forward, and I gave my life to the Lord there. So I have a lot to say thank you to the Lord for Bodmin Road, because it set me on a path, and now I lead a church in Bransburton with my husband Patrick, and it's just a wonderful link that we have with you.
I'm Les Vero.
And I'm Peg, his wife. Well,
some Christian friends told me about the Good News Bookshop in Wright Street, and I went to work there, and there I met Janet, and she told me about Bodmin Road Church and invited me to go. So I took the children occasionally, but Les didn't come with me. This would be in 1972.
Yes, I was reluctant to make the break with the church we'd been going to for some years. But one evening I went along to a preparation meeting for outreach at Hull Show. And this was led by Pastor Leslie Smith, who had just become pastor of Bodmin Road Church. His enthusiasm to make the Lord Jesus known to others and his ability to make the Bible live made me want to hear more from him. And so we began to attend Bodmin Road as a family and were baptised during the evening service on November the 4th, 1973, exactly 45 years ago today.
One of the highlights of a Bodmin Road year was the annual visit to the Farley Christian Holiday Week.
It was at one of these meetings that God called us to full-time service. This led to us spending 1975 to 1978 at Birmingham Bible Institute in preparation. We returned to Hull and Bodmin Road Church in 1978 to part-time and then full-time work as elder and then as pastor from 1982 until 1992.
Hi, I'm Chris Vero. My first contact with Bodmin Road Church was when I was 12 years old. I went to an anniversary service in 1972. I've been through various children's and youth groups here at the church and holiday Bible clubs. At the age of 21 I was baptised here. Bodmin Road Church has provided me with sound Bible teaching, challenging Bible teaching, fellowship, the opportunity to serve for many years now. In fact, I can't remember when I started, but I've been the church treasurer. Bodmin Road Church is my Christian family.
I went to Bodmin in 1973, and how it happened, I didn't have any, I was believing in Jesus, but I didn't actually really belong to any church, and I didn't have much church background. So when another Christian told me that there was a new minister that she'd met somewhere on Brandshow, and he was called Leslie Smith, and he was really on fire to bring people to Jesus and on fire with love for the Lord, that was enough for me to get out my bicycle on a Sunday morning and set off and try and find this church. And when I found it, obviously everybody had gone home, but I could read on the notice board 6:30 in the evening, so I came back in the evening. And that's how I first came to Bodmin Road Church. And I was in Bible college 1 year at Cliff College, and then Leslie Smith, the minister, asked me to work with him, and I was the minister's assistant, that was the title, for about a year and a quarter. And it was mainly door-to-door visiting and any jobs of any kind around church. And all of that was a springboard for me to apply to a mission, an overseas mission, overseas missionary fellowship. And because of that experience and the training and the help that the church had given to me, and all that time the church looked after me, and that was the springboard for me to be accepted into the mission. And I was then in the Philippines, got married to Dawn there, and then came back to Bodmin when we finally came back to Britain.
I found Bodmin Church back in 1975 when I was 12-year-old. My sister used to bring me when I first moved up to Brandshow. Then, as young kids do, sort of drifted away from the church, find mates, go about my own business. Then years quite a few years later, just over 7 years ago, I run out of milk. I lived in Padstow House just next door. And I knew there was a cafe in the church. So I went down, asked for a breakfast and a coffee. Tony staff would come and talk to me. And it all started from there. I've never looked back. A year later I become a volunteer. I was first of all helping Tina, visiting people, then I went into the cafe. Then approximately a year after that, I ended up getting the caretaker's job, opening up, closing up the church. Back in 2012 I got baptised on Easter Sunday.
Hello, my name's Ian. I come to Bodmin Road in the early 70s when I was growing up. I used to come here and play pole, I did, and do activities. That's when I first come about Bodmin Road. And ever since I've never really looked back, to be honest. Yeah, my mum always wanted me to come and volunteer. When I lost my mum, Richie did ask me if I'd like to come and volunteer, and I said yes, I would, and I'm still here. And I love it. And I love all the people at the church. Without the people, it wouldn't be a church. There's so much loving people here. They always give you good advice and that. And I love it. I do. I do in the kitchen, I do. I do hoovering up as well. Whatever Tony tells me to do, I certainly will do it. Bodmin Road told me a real lot when I lost my mum and that and my brother. That's really helped me. They've been there when I've really needed them. Yeah, I've never looked back since I got baptised. That's the day when I really changed my life for me. It is.
Well, I first had contact with Bodmin Road Church through door-to-door visitation when I lived in the Masonettes, and it was through two ladies who came to chat with me and told me about the Lord Jesus. Although I'd heard about the Lord mostly all my life, no one ever told me that, Christ died for me, and it was through that I got to Bodmin Road Church. And that would have been of the year about 1977, beginning of 1978. I served the Lord there for about 33, 34 years, involved with the luncheon club, with the children's Sunday school, holiday Bible club, and also as a cleaner. My time at Bodmin Road was very, very beneficial to me because I learnt a lot and grew in the Lord, and I've a lot to be thankful for that time at Bodmin.
Well, so I started going to Bodmin, I think, about 1982. I found out about it in an advert in a newspaper. As my friend said, we met there, I got married there. It's 36 years ago yesterday I got baptised there. But it was a lot of happy times, and the Lord has really been good. I just can't fault what the friendship and fellowship we had there at the time.
Since I came to Bodmin Road, I've never felt so loved and valued by anyone till I came to Bodmin. Another thing is I went to another school, I worked there with the children again, doing different activities. I went round giving magazines out, what else? Washing up. Oh, I don't like washing up. Because we're all useful, and I never felt useful till I came to Bodmin. And found out I could do quite a few things.
I'm Liz Dutton. I came here in '94 with my two kids. I was quite involved with Treasure Hunters, running that for a while, and play schemes way back. My son was baptised here, and it has been a wonderful journey, just seeing how much it's changed and how real people are. Real people's lives, and the honesty and the loving friendships I've had here.
We came to Bodmin Road Church in 1995 with one little girl, and in the thought that probably we wouldn't be here for very long because it was our first pastorate. But 23 years and 5 more children later, here we still are.
Yeah, September 1995 we started. We'd come earlier that year and interviewed, and I'd preached a couple of weekends. It was another pastor in Hull actually who knew me from Lancashire who'd given my name to the elders here. So we rented a council house on Stockley Close. I remember church helping us clean it, paint it before we moved in. The artex on the walls was so thick it was the sort that would cause you a nasty injury. I think if you ask me for highlights, in my top 3 has got to be our men's trips away to the Lake District and the Yorkshire Dales, being blown over on Helvellyn in a hurricane and landing on top of Steve Watson, who'd already been blown over. That's priceless. Ultimately, my greatest joy has been to see people here finding their voice, playing their part, using their gift, finding self-esteem, identity and belonging, and that's what keeps getting me up in the morning.
I like go to church. I like lunch.
So my name's Tracy Richardson, and I walked into Bodmin Road Church in 1995, Christmas Eve, and I came for the midnight communion service because I live in the flats next door and I'd heard all about it. And when I came in, I heard about forgiveness and a clean slate and a new start, and at that time my life was a complete mess, and I knew it was exactly what I needed. And I came back the next morning, Christmas morning, and from then on I guess I was hooked, because I came back every Sunday and learnt about God and Jesus and all that he had done for me. And I changed from a person who was full of rage, I'm not saying there's not any of that left, but full of rage and no hope, to a person with hope and a future and a family and somewhere that I belong. Out of that, I ended up going to Bible college for 3 years. I was on the leadership team for about 7 years. And I still work at Bodmin Road Church. I've been working here since 2001, I think it is. Pastoral care, all sorts of different things. And because of the stuff that I found through Bodmin Road Church and God, I now want to serve other people and help them to find God and all that he can do for them.
I came from another church and came in 1997 to Bodmin Road. It felt like I'd just come into the promised land. It felt like I felt welcomed and really loved and cared for. And I worked as a volunteer in the Tots group for 4 years, which I really enjoyed. And my walk is growing. I'm just growing and growing and growing.
Hi, my name's David.
And I'm Natalie, and we've been coming to Bodmin since the year 2000.
We tried a few different churches in Hull before we found Bodmin, but we first became aware of it through hearing Richard on Pause for Thought on Radio Humberside, and so eventually decided to try it. And at the first service, we were struck by how diverse the group of people who were there. I think we had people in their 80s and we had teenagers. But between everybody who was there was a real sense of community, which is what we loved and what got us to stay, really.
And then in 2002, a job came up at church to run a computer centre. It was part of a government scheme called UK Online. So I did that for 3 years and really enjoyed it. It took me out of my comfort zone, but it was a really interesting and exciting job. And then about 10 years ago, I became part of the leadership team. And then more recently, a couple of years ago, I set up, along with a group of other women, a women's ministry from Bodmin called Flourish.
I've been on leadership for about 17 years now. And for a similar amount of time, I've also been involved in the worship. And then in the last few years, I've also got involved in songwriting. And church has been really supportive, A, in trying those songs out, but B, in terms of getting some of those songs produced onto a CD.
I think Bodmin Road is my family, really. I feel very loved, very accepted, and I have done since the first minute that I walked in. I think it's quite unique, Bodmin, in the sense that you don't need to have a mask. People accept you as you are, and yet there's that room. It's a safe place where you can grow and develop as well. And I am very appreciative of the way that Bodmin has helped me to grow.
Yeah, Bodmin have given us so much as a couple, as individuals, as a family. When we were facing infertility as a couple, again, people got on board with that with us. They would pray with us, they would cry with us, they would cry out to God for us and share with us what he was saying by way of encouragement. And when we announced that we were pregnant and expecting Lydia, they really did celebrate with us as well. So we love it here, we've loved our time here, and we're looking forward to the future here.
Hi! I'm Lydia. I'm Elijah.
I'm Phoebe.
I'm Esther. I've been a Christian for 5 years. Church is like home. It's very welcoming.
I was born in 2007 when the floods came. Church isn't too big, it isn't too small, and everyone knows each other. Church is a wonderful place for little children up to the elderlies.
I like the biscuits. Bye!
Hello, I'm Wendy Jensen, and I came here in September 2001. And it started with the Alpha course. At first we thought it was so weird and we wondered where we'd come because it's so different to any other church I've ever known. But it's absolutely amazing, absolutely wonderful family here. You're made welcome straight away. I've been involved in lots of things. It's changed my life so much joy. I mean, sometimes you're falling apart, but you've still got the joy of the Lord in your heart. You can call on that at any time. So through sadness and whatever, you've got that joy. There's always somebody willing and able to help you. You're never ever alone.
I'm Christine Clark, and I came to here the year 2000 Christmas. I came for the first time that year. A circle was put through my door in the flats, advertising the candlelit carol service, which I thought would be nice, and I was surprised when I came to find the church was so full of all age ranges and enjoyed the service. I was already a Christian and the organist for another Christian church in the area. I no longer go to the other church, as they still expect me to play to lead the singing. It is too much of a strain on me now. So I've started to come to this one on a Sunday morning. I have come to a greater understanding of my personal faith through listening to the talks that Richard does.
Hello, I'm Daniel. I came to Bodmin in 2001. It was the 5th of November, and I was talking to my stepdad, Tony, about God, and he suggested coming to Bodmin. And it was that night that I became a Christian, gave my life to Jesus.
Hi, I'm Stacey, Dan's wife. I've been coming to Bodmin for 12 years. I came in 2006 when I moved in with Tiff and Nick Strode. At the time I wasn't a Christian. It took me a little bit longer to find Jesus, but with the help of Bodmin I did. I was baptised at Bodmin. We got married at Bodmin and dedicated our little boy Benjamin there. And it feels like it's a real family for us. It's a place where we come to worship every week, but enjoy spending time in fellowship with other members of the church. I now work for Bodmin as the children's and families worker 1 day a week. Benjamin, do you like going to church?
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you do at church?
Doctor.
You like to play with Marshall? Yeah, and do you like to sing songs?
Yes.
You like to sing songs?
Yes.
Can you wave? Wave at Grandad.
I came from Lee Smith Street. I went to the church down there, and going on to Bransdon, same as this church. I came to the church for a while, and after a few years, I decided that I'd have enough of the church and went my own way. When I came back, my son had become a Christian, and anyways, I'm glad he come to church with me. And then, before the end of the service, I asked Jesus into my life. and he came with a mighty power, and I just sobbed and sobbed, and the scales was taken from my eyes, and it was the most wonderful feeling. My son was happy, and my husband was frightened because he wasn't a Christian, and he thought, oh no, my wife's Christian, what's going on? But it was the best thing what's ever happened to me. Since I've been here, I've transformed, really transformed. I wasn't very educational, and Jesus has given me an opportunity to work in a job I love at Bodmin Road Church as a care coordinator. I can say that it's the best thing in my life whatever happened to me, is coming to Bodmin Road Church and getting to know Jesus.
I remember as a young lad, a very young lad, maybe 6 or 7, I would come to Bodmin Road Church, and I always remember on a Wednesday night, there used to be a lady in the back room, used to tell Bible stories. And we used to sit around this little gas fire, and I'd say that was about 1974, 76, somewhere around that time, up to about 1980, where I would often come and maybe rattle the doors when the service would start, or climb on the roof and jump up and down. And it's quite funny really, because when I speak to kids now what climb on the roof, I say get down off that roof, and they say come and get me. And I always have that watershed moment where I feel God saying to me, wait a minute before you get too large, Mum, do you remember when you used to climb that roof and the exact same words were said to you? So, and Richard would spend lots of late nights at our house talking to us about these certain things of life and what have you. And then there was this course running called the Alpha course. It discusses about the meaning of life from a Christian point of view. And I went on the Alpha course. The Alpha course lasted about 12 weeks. Sometime in that, at the back end of that, I gave my life to Jesus. And then the floods came, and in that time I was in the flats next to church pastor house. I was praying with Tracy Richardson, and we decided, and in that prayer time I felt God speak to me, and I felt Him say to me, go open the doors, cut the grass, start serving teas and coffee in the middle of the building site, which I did. From that, of opening up the church, cutting the grass and serving teas and coffee in the middle of the building site, we opened a part of the church up as a cafe, and I became the cafe manager. Which, as time went on, I became one of the church leaders as well, and that is still ongoing up till now. For me, it's about how I've changed as a person, how I think I believe, and I suppose you'd have to ask others this, they're always the best people to ask, but in my becoming a Christ-like mode, how my heart's softened, how I've changed, how I look at life differently, I look at people differently, I look at problems. I've learned to look at life and its problems beyond what is just in front of me. It's been a really big learning curve for me.
Hello, my name is Paul Carr, and this is my story of becoming to know Jesus, who I now believe and follow. My nana, who loved Jesus, would often talk about him. Tina Stafford, who works at Bodmin Road Church as a care coordinator, would sometimes sit with my nana while I went shopping, because she could not be left on her own. Sometimes when I arrived back from shopping, I would ask Tina about church and Jesus, and she would tell me about him and the church she goes to. My nana died aged 99 on the 30th of December 2007. After she died, I was very depressed and I didn't go out much. Then I remembered conversations with Tina, and I decided to go to church. When I went, I did not find a church. I found a building site because the church had been flooded. I spoke to the builder, who was a Christian, and he told me to go to St Andrew's School, where the church would have its services. When I came into church, the people were friendly and accepted me straight away. And that day I cried, and I felt the burden of my grieving started to be taken away. As I met new friends, I started to learn about Jesus and why he died. It was then that I knew I needed my sins forgiven, and I asked Jesus into my life. Since then I have worked with Tony doing many things in the church, and now I'm a permanent volunteer in the Olive Branch Cafe a couple of days a week. Following Jesus has been the best thing in my life.
I ended up outside this building in 2008, and I could hear the singing, and so I came in, and walking through the doors, it was like the weight of the world taken off my shoulders. I sat and listened to Richard Bentley's service, and he just opened my life. He opened my life to Jesus, and I've been coming since. Just help out here and there wherever I can.
I used to walk past this church in the 80s with my children, and I would invariably look at it and think, well, it's not even a proper church. How things change. In 2008, when I came in this church, Pastor Bentley gave me Christ, and with Christ came my dignity, came my church family, came love, and came opportunities to become slowly all that God, I'm sure, wants for me, and hopefully I'll go further and further. Yeah.
My husband and I came here in 2011. We're both Christians already, but hadn't found a church that we both felt happy at. As soon as we came into Bodmin Road, we just felt that peace and the friendliness and genuineness of everybody here. I really feel that everybody here is part of a family. I feel as if I've got a Christian family here. The pastoral care is fantastic. It really helped me a lot. And now I do once a month, I do a reflective prayer, which is meditating on the Word of God, and I'm really enjoying that.
My name's Sheila Cooper. I started coming to Bodmin in 2011. I came through a widow Whitpath who was doing the CAP. I was in debt, and I came to do a course through the CAP. And so I came into the building and found it very homely, and thought, oh, I like this. I was looking to move to Grantham, so I came and thought I want to use Bodmin as my church when I came to live here where I am. So yeah, what it means to me, it's been a lifeline. It's a family. It's a second family. It's somewhere I can go to whenever I need to or want to. It's a home.
Hi, we're Nick and Melinda Roberts. We came to Bodmin Road Church in January 2012. We found Bodmin was an amazing place, like a family, very welcoming and open, and we felt really supported and encouraged.
Richard invited us to go on a leadership team, which we were very happy to do, and it's been a real time of growing and making friends. Mick's been doing some preaching, we both did Sunday school, I helped with some of the worship, and then running a small women's group. And we've also appreciated things like Tony's sense of humour in the cafe, Richard's drama sketches.
But also the preaching is amazing. I've really felt I've been able to crystallise a lot of my thinking around my faith, and the worship led by David, also just fantastic, really.
I think it really has felt like a place where you can be yourself and be accepted, and know that you haven't got to put on a show and pretend to be something to impress other people. You really can just relax and know that you'll be loved and welcomed, and receive as well as give.
Yeah, so thank you to Bodmin Road Church.
We're now living in York. Please come and see us.
Hello, my name's Jonathan Holtby. I've been coming to Bodmin Road Church now. Well, I started with my parents when the church first opened. So I was a little nipper in short trousers in them days. But I wasn't a Christian. It took me 50 years to become a Christian. But that happened one night. I was watching the TV at home, and I pressed the wrong channel number, and the God channel came up, and it said, if you want to become a Christian, stand up and say this prayer. and the rest of it is history. So I came back with my auntie to the church in 2013.
Yeah.
I was baptised here about 2 years ago, I think it was. I've forgotten the date, but that's just me. But I got baptised because I wanted to reaffirm my faith in front of the church, so they knew I was a Christian. Well, the cafe does a lot for me because I live by myself, so it's quite a lonely old world. But I come into the cafe on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and you talk to people. And the atmosphere is good, and Tony obviously is really good at what he does, and I love the preachers, Richard and Tim. I think they're brilliant.
I'm Ellie Lamb, and I'm from Bransham, and I've been on Bransham 33 years, and I just live 5 minutes away from here. You know, I had addictions, and they helped me with those, and I've gone from being in debt to no debt at all, and that is thanks to the church. It's kept me sober 17 years. I'd have given up long ago with a drink. I am the gloss queen. I painted all this church with Tony, but I didn't let him touch the gloss. Even though it's the people in here, it's all about God to me, and it's following his footsteps. These people in here are gardens, they guard me, but it's God I'm following. I'm so passionate about this church because I can't believe where I am today. I never thought I'd be able to change the way I think, the way I act, the way I speak to people, and this church has enabled me to grow in a way that I never thought. Even my kids don't think I'm me.
Hi, Andrew and I came to Bodmin Road Church in 2015. The first contact we'd had with Richard was at a meeting at Jubilee Church, and he actually offered me a job, which at the time I knew I didn't want to take, but he invited me down to meet the people at Bodmin Road. This happened over several occasions, and eventually Andrea and I went down. And actually it was Andrea that said even if I didn't take the job, that we should stay connected because there was something really special about Bodmin Road. Anyway, ultimately I took the job, and Bodmin has been a place where both Andrea and I have been able to grow and to serve, and we're really pleased to be part of a church with a great group of people.
Hi there, we're Ian and Kate Drysdale. We moved to be part of Bodmin Road Church in June 2015. I had first come across Bodmin Road Church way back in the latter part of 2008. I attended a New Wine local network meeting that was at Bodmin Road Church, and was immediately struck by the obvious passion that the church had for the local community around them.
We'd been on the leadership team at Scunthorpe Baptist Church for a number of years, but had started to feel that we were being called to move on to something else. And so as we looked into what that calling might be, and we had a number of words and so on, we got connected into the vision that Bodmin Road had for Pennine, and we were very blessed to be asked by the leadership team to come and lead at Pennine.
We love being part of Bodmin Road Church. What do we love about it? We love the fact that it just feels like family. It desires to do nothing but keep church really, really simple, to love God and to love one another. And we love the fact that that just spills into everything that the church does, and its passion to care for and love the local community. We're just so excited to be part of the Bodmin Road journey, and we pray that it will be a journey that will carry on for many, many years ahead, and we're excited to be part of that.
Hi, I'm Rita Drysdale, and I've been at Bodmin Road Church for 3 years, and there have been loads of people to play with, and there's loads of drinks and biscuits and everything. Bye.
Hello, I'm Ian, and this is Monica, my mother-in-law, and I've been coming to Bodmin Church now for over 2 years. By accident, really, we found Bodmin Road Church, who was looking for some furniture for Monica, a wardrobe. And after we'd been looking around the shops that were close to here, we saw a cafe sign and we thought, oh, we'll go have a cup of tea. So we walked in for a cup of tea, and when I walked in, first person I saw was someone I knew, Gary. And then Tony came up and greeted us, and since then, we just felt it's such a warm, inviting place for us to keep coming. We actually have now moved church to this church and come on a Sunday.
I came to Bodmin Road Church a few years ago through my husband. One day we'd come up here to Bodmin Road to rerun furniture when it was here, to look at some furniture. And when we were coming out, Ian said, oh look, seems to be a church with a cafe there. Came in and immediately felt an atmosphere of welcoming, of acceptance. What has really struck me about Bodmin Road Church and what I really love about it is the fact that they put relationship with God through Jesus Christ and relationship with one another as top priority, as well as teaching the Word of God. So everything is Bible based and everything is geared to relationship with one another. So from the word go, I felt like family. So last year I joined, and then in July 2017 I became a member of Bodmin Road Church, and I'm now doing a little bit of voluntary as church administrator each week. And I really, really love the church. In fact, if I say to you, probably won't believe this, a lot of you, but if I say to you, I have made more friends in the space of a year at Bodmin Road Church than I have in a lifetime.
My name is Elizabeth Farrer-Atkin. I've known Richard for many years. I was also encouraged to come into this church as I passed by one day by Tony Stafford. So I did. What Bodmin has done for me is I asked the Lord to use me in any which way he can, and he's done that. There is so much love that I've noticed within Bodmin for one another, and the two shepherds, which are Richard and Tim, our pastors, give each and every one of us their time, and I think that is absolutely wonderful. I feel this is where I belong, this is my spiritual home, but there is a Christ-likeness within this church, and that's why I love it. I feel like there's a little piece of heaven in here. My only regret is that I didn't come here sooner.
Hello, my name is Petra Carter. I am originally from Germany, but I've lived in this country for the last 18 years. And me and my family joined the church 2 years ago. So we've come here, and I think one of the really special things about Bodmin Road Church is that the people are real. There's real problems and real issues, and are not judged for that. But they're received willingly, they're welcomed warmly, they're accepted, loved, embraced, nurtured and encouraged to live a life that is real with Jesus and not something put on, it's not a show. And I think that's the reason why I really love coming here, because I've felt like I've come home in a way that I've not felt in any other church, and I do appreciate the relationships which are not fake, and that we really have genuine relationships when we talk about Jesus, and he's meaningful and relevant to our life today.
My name is Tracy Usher. I came to Bodmin Church in 2015. A friend brought me. I've been through some particularly hard times, and I felt God was with me all the way through them times. And she suggested Bodmin Church. So I came. I found the answers I wanted and I was looking for. I found that and more, and I've never looked back, and I thank God so wonderfully for being there for me.
In 2017, my benefits got all mixed up and everything, and my own morale was down, you know, my confidence, everything, you know, just lost hope. But when I come to the church, it helped and boosted, you know, everything. Basically, you know, can't get any better than that, you know. And this church is a really good foundation for everyone. And people don't realise that it is, but it's unbelievable. But thank you.
Hello, I'm Tom.
Hello, I'm Joey. So I officially
moved here after we've got married in July. This church feels like a family to me, and people really emphasize a lot about relationship, and this church helped us as a couple to sort of establish our own life group at our home.
I started coming when I moved to Hull. Now, at that point, God was very clear on a couple of things. Firstly, that he wanted me in a city in the north of England, and then he was also clear that he wanted me to be in a place with a pre-existing strong community of followers of Christ. Now, that's very much what I found at Bodmin. And the quiet, yet very clear faith in this place is what has struck me most since being here and part of the community.
Hello, my name's Lorraine Roberts. I came to Bodmin last year, 2017. I did know of Bodmin before that though, because I came here in my work as a debt counsellor for community money advice, and I've just found this church really supportive, and I just find that everybody's valued. For instance, the pastor's wife came and spent a few hours at my daughter's house to find out what my grandson's special needs were, just so that he'd be really happy in creche. So thanks a lot.
My name is Brandon Simon. I've recently started coming to church, and it's changed my life, and yeah, I'm glad I'm coming here now, and hope for the best for church in the future.